On this edition of Southern Newsweek, Dunedin's first COVID-19 vaccination centre opens for business. A new safety initiative aims to help people to be safe in bars, and the customer services agency at the Dunedin City Council is smashed in a frenzied attack. Kia ora, I'm Melissa Barton. In just a week from planning to the start of business, the Southern District Health Board and public health staff have set up a base in the Meridian Mall in central Dunedin. The base at which several thousand people will receive vaccinations against the pandemic disease COVID-19 opened at the end of March.
And on the 7th day, the first Southern COVID-19 vaccination centre opened. Needles began going into arms today, just 1 week after the plans for a vaccination centre in Dunedin were made public.
We've got a big job ahead of us. It's significant. We're working very closely with the Ministry around what the rollout centrally looks like and advice from them. We've got some unique challenges in the southern system. We're very distributed. We've got 3 ports. We've potentially got 2 international airports. So there is some complexity around that first tier of border workers.
The Southern District Health Board has leased the former H&J Smith department store for a year. And today, 6 vaccinators and an administration team began injecting the first of 2 doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine to frontline health workers. Dunedin Public Hospital's Emergency Department Clinical Director Rich Stevenson was among the frontline healthcare workers getting vaccinated this morning.
Oh look, it's great. It didn't hurt at all, and I think it's fantastic that we're starting to roll out the vaccination programme to frontline healthcare workers. I think it's a really important, fundamental part of us keeping the country safe, and I look forward to moving forwards, feeling slightly a bit more secure than we were before.
A similar centre will also be set up in Invercargill, but the SDHB says the finer details are being sorted out on a lease space there. The Southern COVID-19 vaccine rollout team say logistics are also being worked out as to how to vaccinate Southerners in more remote locations. Rich Stevenson says being vaccinated as a frontline healthcare worker makes staff feel more secure in their work.
I think it's so I think that's the way to look at it. It's another layer of security. So whilst if we do have to deal with patients with potential COVID, we'll still do all of the other stuff that we have been doing and will be doing around PPE and our procedures and stuff. But this is just another layer of security and making sure that keep all our staff safe.
The vaccine must be stored at an ultra-low temperature, and Southern stocks are being held in a special freezer in Christchurch. More than 570,000 vaccinations are required for everyone aged 16 plus in the south to receive the required 2 doses, 3 weeks apart. In Dunedin, the South Today.
People in parts of Christchurch were told to stay inside after a large industrial fire broke out at a pizza factory recently. Authorities confirmed the single-storey building is the Romano's Pizza Factory in Hillsborough.
Fire crews are expected to be at the site of a major fire at the Romano's Pizza Factory in Christchurch for most of the day as they work to fully extinguish the blaze. FENZ Area Commander Dave Stackhouse says at its height the fire required 11 appliances to tackle the blaze.
At 01:15 hours this morning we received a call to this building, which is Romano's Pizza Factory.
About 50 firefighters were at the scene, and smoke from the fire could be seen up to a kilometre away. Stackhouse says the construction of the building made it difficult to fight the fire. No one appears to have been inside the building when the fire broke out, and there are no reports of any injuries. Residents were being urged to stay indoors as the blaze is causing a lot of smoke which might be toxic. In Christchurch, the South Today.
A new way for people who feel threatened or in danger in Dunedin bars is already being utilised. Those behind the initiative say it's a way of hoping to prevent stupefaction and sexual violence.
Ordering a red drink in a Dunedin bar can help save your life, or at least protect you from harm or unwanted attention.
So red light is if you go to nightclubs, restaurants, movie theatres, you feel unsafe or uncomfortable, or maybe you're seeing someone that's making someone else uncomfortable, you can order a red light drink or show the staff one of our logos, and the staff will help you get out of that situation.
Red Light Drinks co-founder Paige Devlin says it came about as they wanted to raise awareness of sexual violence. Max Brewbar co-owner Mark Fraser says they're proud to be amongst the bars hosting the scheme and says it's a no-brainer.
I think it's just, the main thing is that when people come out, that they feel safe. I mean, everybody wants to go out and have a good time, and if we're not creating an environment where people feel safe, then we're going to have less customers. It's not good for business. And so it's an easy one for us. Yeah.
The Red Light Drinks initiative is also being welcomed by Dunedin Police. Alcohol Harm Prevention Officer Constable Stephen Jones says programs like this increase public safety.
I mean, the stats say for themselves. There's a very causal link between alcohol harm and sexual assault, and initiatives like Red Light just really give people the support that they require. If something uncomfortable has happened, whether it be in a licensed premises or even out in the street, they can approach bar staff, they can approach police. Even if the Red Light team's out and about, they can approach them as well. And basically there's a procedure in place to wrap them up in support, whether it be they need to come and talk to us, or they might just need a lift home, and just a bit of safety wrapped around them, really.
Constable Jones says this is an excellent way people can make others aware of easy ways people can raise the alarm without going onto the street and looking for a constable. As when a red light drink is ordered, trained bar staff investigate and decide upon the appropriate course of action. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Police have arrested a man who allegedly went on a rampage at the Dunedin City Council this week, smashing up the foyer with a bat. City Councillor Sophie Barker says she heard yelling and banging before seeing a man being pursued by police.
The Dunedin City Council Customer Service Centre was closed for the day after a man allegedly went on a rampage this morning, smashing up the foyer with a bat, eventually being arrested by police. Dunedin City Councillor Sophie Barker says she heard the commotion and saw a man being pursued down the escalators.
Yelling, banging, crashing, and then this big bump for stuff was broken on the way out. I didn't see it, I heard it happening, and then I saw the guy come out, and then I saw the police following.
She says a member of the public kept others away from approaching the customer service area.
This local guy was keeping people away, which was fantastic, so good local hero, thank goodness, stepping in.
Police say they had been searching for a man in Mosgiel this morning after he made threats to individuals and organisations. Barker says she feels for the staff who encountered the destructive rampage.
I just really feel for the team. It must be really horrible when something like that happens.
Police say there are no reports of anyone being injured in the incident. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, it's a lucky escape for one of Dunedin's historic buildings from going up in flames, and a group of firefighters and their supporters take up an interesting challenge in Queenstown. So catch this and more after the break. Welcome back. Firefighters were able to prevent one of Dunedin's historic buildings from going up in flames last weekend. The fire in an upper story of the Imperial buildings on Dowling Street was attended by crews from across the city.
Firefighters were able to extinguish a fire before it took hold of Dunedin's historic Imperial buildings at the bottom of Dowling Street next to Queen's Gardens. The fire in the building, which dates back to 1906, was put out by crews using breathing apparatus.
We had two crews that entered the building, low pressure delivery to take the fire.
Station Officer Antony O'Neill says a hydraulic elevating platform was used to offer support for the crews fighting the fire inside the narrow brick building.
Most fires of a high-rise nature will deploy the ladder and use it as firefighting, and also a means of escape for our crews if need be. Yeah.
The fire was in a room that housed computer equipment used by Ig Timmy, a local company involved in creating graphics for the America's Cup. Once the fire was extinguished, crews worked to clear the building of smoke.
It was quite very heavy smoke logging in the building when we arrived, and the reason we were opening the windows is basically to, once the fire's extinguished, we clear the floors of smoke.
O'Neill says the fire possibly started from an electrical fault. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A wheelchair-bound Dunedin man was treated to a flight in the same type of helicopter that flew him to the Burwood Hospital spinal unit 20 years ago. The flight was arranged through Helicopters Otago, which operates a rescue helicopter service throughout the southern region.
Dunedin man Rob Gillan was just 14 when he suffered permanent spinal injuries in an accident while operating a forklift at his father's work. He was unconscious when he was flown to the spinal unit in Burwood Hospital in Christchurch.
I suffered T3, T4, T5 spinal fractures, broke over 11 bones and internal injuries, and left me paralysed indefinitely.
20 years on, Helicopters Otago have treated Gillan and his family to a ride in the same type of aircraft that 2 decades ago flew him to Christchurch.
I contacted the pilots of Otago Heli and I told them about my injury anniversary coming up, a big milestone, 20 years, and because they originally flew me to Christchurch 20 years ago, they agreed to throw me in the machine again and take me for a bit of a ride.
Coming along for the ride were Gillan's 2 children and his brother, all of whom are dead keen on aircraft.
Very excited. I've never seen my son leave kindy so quickly.
Gillan works as an architectural draftsman with a good insight in how to add accessibility features to buildings and car parks. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A group of firefighters and their supporters took part in an informal challenge in Queenstown. Called the March March, the event saw the crews carrying a heavy kit up Queenstown Hill, a climb which is 70 metres higher than the Auckland Sky Tower.
11 firefighters from around the country and their supporters travelled to the Central Lakes in order to summit Queenstown Hill, a climb that's actually 70 metres higher than the popular Sky Tower stair climb in Auckland. The event was organised by Frankton volunteer firefighter Jamie Harris, who says he's pleased with the turnout.
Because it's a greater climb than the Auckland Sky Tower, so hence every firefighter that's here today has come in from out of town, so hitting it out of the park already with the fact that people see it as something that's worthy of turning up for and participating in.
Harris has done stair climb challenges in Australia and the USA and says carrying the full breathing apparatus and cylinder adds an extra weight equivalent to a heavy suitcase.
The turnout kit, as well as what you carry as far as a BA apparatus with its cylinder, is anywhere between 20 to 25 kilos. So on top of the fact that you're getting some elevation gain, there's also the fact that you are carrying that on your person as well as wearing the structural firefighting kit.
Harris came up with the idea for the informal event after last year's Auckland Sky Tower stair climb was cancelled due to COVID-19 restrictions.
Yeah, it's not about first place, it's about participation really. So not here to raise funds or anything for any charity, it's more so to raise an awareness and just give back and thank those that have gave.
This year's Auckland Sky Tower Challenge is set to be held at the end of May. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, we take a look at the South Dunedin Street Festival, and the future of women's mountain biking in New Zealand is looking bright, so catch this after the break. Thanks for staying with us. After a number of cancellations in recent years due to bad weather and then COVID-19 last year, the South Dunedin Street Festival was back again, bigger than ever. Organisers say quite a lot more people attended this year's event compared to previous years.
After a number of cancellations in recent years due to bad weather and then COVID-19 last year, the South Dunedin Street Festival was back again, bigger than ever, on Saturday. The fine weather allowed people to enjoy 3 different performance stages, more than 50 stalls and good vibes, with a whole block of King Edward Street closed between Hillside and McAndrew Roads. Organisers describe the turnout as awesome and estimate there were about 50% more people this year than in previous years. In South Dunedin, the South Today.
The garage at Ross Hanson's Cromwell home is lined with potentially hundreds of cars. Some are collector's items, but all are pint-sized toys which he's accumulated over many years.
An engineering career and a lifelong love of machinery makes for a large collection in a modestly sized shed for this Central Otago bloke.
I started my apprenticeship with International Harvester in Stafford Street in Dunedin, and I have quite a passion for the red tractor. I just love tractor work and I really enjoy them, so anything with International on, I'm really into it.
Ross Hanson's collection has been added to in recent times, but many have been in his possession for years, safely stored under the bed. However, during lockdown, he decided to retrieve them, spruce them up a bit and put them on display.
So I made some shelves during COVID, painted them and started collecting these Tonka toys. And I found a lot of people were leaving them in the sand pits over the years and the family didn't want them. So I managed to acquire them and I restored them, de-rusted them, tried to paint them back in their original colours and get them back to the way they were.
Hanson's always had a fascination for vehicles, a passion which started with toys, including Meccano and other items which are now the playthings of yesteryear. In Cromwell, the South Today.
The future of women's mountain biking in New Zealand is looking brighter following the inaugural Mons Royale Future Ground Progression Camp. The event at Queenstown's Wynyard Jump Park featured 10 riders showing their top tricks and trying to outdo each other.
The sky's the limit for women's mountain biking in New Zealand if this inaugural event in Queenstown is anything to go by.
Future Ground is really just a simple thing to bring the best riders together to progress and bring their energy, and the camp is just to facilitate that and help them take it to the next level. 10
female free riders from across New Zealand, including 2 international riders who've been in the country since before last year's lockdown, were handpicked to take part in a 4-day camp. Internationally ranked mountain bike rider Louise Ferguson has been living in Queenstown since lockdown and was amongst the leaders of the camp.
I'm now in a camp, a women's progression camp that's based in Queenstown, and everyone's throwing backflips and throwing like tricks and heel kickers and knacks, and it's just that's what's gone down. Everyone in the background's thrown down as well.
As well as track time, the camp included trampoline and sports psychology sessions, with plenty of time on their bikes at Queenstown's Jump Park. Mons Royale founder and event coordinator Hamish Acland was unsure about future events, as he says they were focused on this camp.
Yeah, we're not actually too sure. We just we wanted to, the idea got sparked by Mons team rider Louise Ferguson, so we saw her do a backflip on her social media, and we just saw all of this energy like that, and we're like, right, let's help that, let's try and get that to go further, let's bring these riders together.
The camp was a result of teamwork between Acland, mountain bike instructor Ashley Peters, rider Claire Dooney and the Queenstown Mountain Bike Club.
Oh, I've been blown away. From the moment I got here, there's so many women riding bikes at all levels, and everyone's really welcoming. There's a local bike club here that's got loads of women as members, but there's also Dirttown Queens, which is like a female bike club that you can go along to, which is really inclusive.
Organisers say the camp has matched its aim to foster skills and confidence for female free riders and, in part, to foster friendships and support networks for the women, as they fly towards the upper echelons of the sport on the global stage. In Queenstown, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook or YouTube. Ka kite anō.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.